So, has that guy passed his medical yet, Big Carl?
Yes.
He has. Oh, that's great. I wouldn't normally pressure you guys so much about getting the medical rush through, but Fabrizio Romano has been bugging me so much about this transfer leading into this quarterfinal. I've been too busy dealing with him somehow. He's got my home phone number. I mean, he's ringing me now. Yeah, I'll go deal with him. Thank you very much, Kate. Thank you. Jeez, Fabrizio, you're a pest. Hey, mate, how are you? Yeah, yes, you can give it the here we go. Now, next time, be a little bit more respectful, okay? We're in the midst of a Champions League quarterfinal, okay? So, don't bug me as much, okay? But you can give it the here we go. Okay. Yeah, nice to chat too, mate. What a dick. Hello everyone and welcome to episode number 153 of Husavik Heroes here on Shaun Does FM. I hope you are doing well, and coming up in today's episode is the second leg of the quarterfinals in the Champions League against Bayern Munich, and as well as that, as you can see on screen, a big new transfer here at the club. So if you are looking forward to today's episode, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying this series here on the channel, also remember to hit that subscribe button and turn that notification bell on as well. It is greatly appreciated. But off the back of the first leg in yesterday's episode of the quarterfinal against Bayern Munich, if you missed that one, I'll leave a link to it over in the top right corner. We suggested we might make a big signing indeed. That is the case. We have signed the German international team goalkeeper for the next European season here at Volsungur to replace Peter Husavik as our starting goalkeeper, and this is the fella, Karl Vollen, 23-year-old German. He's got 10 caps, 8 of those inside the last season in World Cup qualifiers for UEFA, so he is definitely the current starting German international goalkeeper, so it is quite a get for us. 3-star current ability, 4.5-star goal potential, so he certainly has a lot of room for growth, and he joins us here from Borussia Mönchengladbach for £40.5 million overall, albeit we paid about 20 of that up front, the rest of it in installments. Starting to go a little bit Lujo in these last few transfers with those installments, quite similar to the deal that we did do for Filippo Dinelli last season, but this is a big transfer for us, getting the starting German international goalkeeper off of Borussia Mönchengladbach and to us here at Volsungur, and he will get stuck into his action in the little domestic games that we do have in between now and the end of this current European season, and he will work his way into the first team for the start of that next European season, where hopefully we will start it off as Champions League holders as well as the current Club World Cup champions. But a big transfer for us, the very promising goalkeeper in Karl Vollen. And as well as that, just a quick update on what we did from the next gen list in yesterday's episode. We also signed that midfielder who we signed on somewhat a free transfer. Actually cost us about £700,000 in compensation, but this is the Cypriot midfielder who we did sign. Unfortunately, his potential not quite as high as we were hoping, only 3 stars there, but that still might not be too bad of a deal. He doesn't look that bad, but considering where we are in the save these days, he's still a decent player with some potential, but might be a player who we end up shipping out to a fellow Icelandic team. But there are a lot worse things we could be doing off of that next gen list. Then that's the transfer business that we have done since the end of yesterday's episode, the signing of Anthony Wright, as well as that big one of Karl Vollen, albeit neither of those players are going to feature for us in the latter stages of the Champions League because of registration and whatnot. But this is how things do look in the quarterfinals of the Champions League. The top half of the draw has been finished. Arsenal completed their rout of Benfica. They go through to the semis off the back of a 7-1 win, and they will take on fellow English team Manchester United after they beat Barcelona 1-0 in the second leg. So that's 2 teams in that other semi-final who we did beat on our way to winning the Club World Cup off the back of last season's Champions League. But coming up today, we take on Bayern Munich at home off the back of that 1-1 draw away in Germany yesterday. Hopefully, we can do something similar to what we did do against Manchester City a little bit earlier in the week. And we're also keeping an eye out on that other quarterfinal between PSG and Liverpool. PSG currently 1-0 up. We take on the winner of that tie in the semi-finals, should we make it that far come the start of next week. But in terms of us going into this game, we've just got one little injury update. Ian Carlo makes his way back onto the bench, has recovered from that injury that he was carrying into that first leg. He's only recommended to play 60 minutes, but that will be fine as a bench option. But apart from that, also Elias Anderson actually makes his way onto the bench. That is because Gaetano de Prisco these days down to being 2-star rated. So that's something we might touch on later in today's episode. If we have time, we might give a little bit of an update on players which we might look to move on come the end of this European season. But Gaetano de Prisco is now our 4th choice centre-back. That means Elias Anderson comes on to the bench for him. But apart from that, there are no changes. Exactly the same starting 11 as we did have in that first leg in yesterday's episode. And hopefully, like we did a few seasons ago, we can get the better here of Bayern Munich and make our way through to the semis for the 3rd straight season. I imagine Bayern are going to be pretty similar to how they looked in yesterday's game as well. And we'll come back shortly from the Laugardas Villa and, as I said, try and make our way through to the semis of the Champions League for a 3rd straight season. And here are the team sheets for the second leg. There is the Volsungur team as we ran through before. Pretty similar in terms of our starting 11 to what we had in yesterday's episode, but a few changes there. On the bench, there are Bayern Munich. They look pretty similar as well to what they put out in that first leg yesterday. And as I said, hopefully we get the better of them here at home to make our way through to the semis yet again. And we have to wait till the 17-minute mark for our first highlight in this one. We have a corner, which they do deal with there through Felix Wickland, and he will get this out to Aulamzeder. There has so far been one yellow card to both teams, one of those for Bayern to Joshua Kimmich, and ours went to Basaro Gay, so he is easing off tackles. But at the moment, Bayern Munich here look to get something going in this first highlight of the game, and Adesi just jogs his way through our defensive line there, but thankfully his shot is quite weak. That's an easy save there for Husavik, and still 0-0 and locked up at 1-1 on aggregate after 20 minutes. And we go forward now to the 28-minute mark. We have a free kick. Nicholas Zimmerman tries to put that top right corner in that. Nearly got enough dip on it there. Nearly wrong for the goalkeeper, but just over the bar. Still locked up after half an hour. And that is half time here in the second leg of this Champions League quarterfinal. A very quiet half there in terms of highlights, in terms of stats and XG, though it is a very even game, much like it was in the first leg yesterday, which is a little bit disappointing from us in our home leg late on in that first half as well. Filippo Dinelli did pick up a yellow card, so it is all to play for here come the second half of this one. But we are going to make some changes at halftime. Levan Tam not going too well. Louis Herrera can come on for him. He'll switch out to left back. Kenny Boreal out to right back. And also Chaka Traore not playing too well. We'll give Jonata some game time as well. We'll also do regroup instead of counter press in defence as well, because that did seem to help against Man City a few days ago, and hopefully that gives us a boost here as we do kick off the second half, still locked up at 1-1 on aggregate. And we go forward to the 69-minute mark for our first highlight here of the second half. A nice time for it as a throw in there to Bayern Munich, but Filippo Dinelli heads it clear, albeit straight into the path of a Bayern Munich player, and Alphonso Davies here makes his way down the left-hand side. He'll try and put a ball into the mixer. In fact, plays that back to Aulamzeder, and Kayembe there gets a header off, but thankfully that goes just over the bar. That's the first highlight of the second half, but right off the back of that one, we start things off again here with a goal kick, and Husavik will pump this deep, looking for Adam Saki. He does indeed win the ball, so we might get a chance here. Jonata up to Saki. Good chance, and he hits the post. That's the biggest chance of this game by far so far, but it comes off the woodwork, and we are still locked up here with 20 minutes left. And right off the back of that highlight, we do have another one, so all of a sudden it is all action here in the second half, and Bayern do keep possession off the back of that long clearance from their goalkeeper. Smith makes his way down their right-hand side, puts the ball here into the mixer. Luckily, Louis Herrera can deal with that one, but yet again, Alexandre is there to tidy things up for Bayern. It is really getting squeaky bum time here in this one with only 18 minutes left and a lot of space here for Smith down their right-hand side. Will he put a ball into the mixer? Yet again, plays that back to Kimmich on a yellow card. Alexandre with a shot, but thankfully, Husavik just does enough to parry that off target, and good work there from Kenny Boreal. That will keep it still locked up here, but yet another highlight off the back of that one. Jonata makes his way down our left-hand side. Can he give us some bench impact? Tries to pick out Lassana Doumbia, but can't quite find him, but out to Basaro Gay. He finds Kenny Boreal. Zimmerman and behind, and he'll put that inside the far post. It was a little bit of an ugly goal, that one, but he gets the job done, and we finally get an advantage here against Bayern Munich. It has taken a long time, not many highlights so far in this game, but a big flurry of them there around the 70-minute mark, and Nicholas Zimmerman just does enough there to get that ball beyond the slide tackle, and Alphonso Davies puts that inside the far post, and we are 1-0 up on the day, 2-1 up on aggregate. With about 16 minutes left, we will go slightly more time wasting now, tell the boys to be more disciplined, and as well as that, slow the pace down through our goalkeeper, and that will hopefully see out this lead with 15 minutes left. And we've gone forward now to the 80-minute mark. We do still hold that 1-goal lead. We have a few players out there on a red heart, but I think with the fact that Basaro Gay also on a yellow card, only on a 6.8, that will be our last substitution. Karel Giroux will come on for him for these last 10 minutes. And we go forward a few minutes off the back of that last substitution. 84 gone, and Jonata in the box off the back of a throw-in, but it is a poor pass there. Looking for Dumbia, and Kimmich heads that forward to the goal scorer from yesterday in Luca Romero. He puts the ball here, far post, and luckily, Namir, it's a great double save that from Husavik, and we clear that away, albeit someone there was offside. It is definitely time for us to start time wasting properly sometimes now, but that's a big couple of saves there from Husavik, and we are still up by a goal with only 5 minutes left plus injury time. And we are inside the last minute of normal time and inside the final third here of Bayern Munich. Hopefully we can just keep possession here and hold on to this lead. It has not been a great performance over both leagues from us, certainly not as good as we showed in that second leg against Manchester City a few days ago. There's a good chance there for Saki though, but he forces a decent save there out of the Bayern goalkeeper, albeit from a very tight angle at his near post. But we do now enter injury time. There is going to be 4 minutes of it as Kenny Boreal takes his time here with that time wasting implemented. Unfortunately, Upamecano does win that ball back for Bayern, but we are still in possession just inside the box, albeit that's a poor pass. And we'll see if Bayern get anything going here on the counter-attack, but that's actually quite a good foul that from Karel Giroux. And we now enter the real late stages of this one, but we are now inside the last minute of added time. It has not been a good watch at all. Not many highlights apart from that big flurry around the 70-minute mark, which was capped off with that goal to Nicholas Zimmerman, and that is what will see us go through to the semi-finals of the Champions League for a third straight season off the back of that 1-1 draw in yesterday's episode. It is the goal from Nicholas Zimmerman in the home leg with only 15 or so minutes left, which puts us through to those semi-finals. I think it's fair to say those subs that we did make at halftime did have a good impact. Louis Herrera coming on for Lee Van Tam playing quite well, and also Kenny Boreal getting that assist from right back, so that is good. And we just do enough there in what was a pretty even tie over both legs to get the better of Bayern Munich without having to go to extra time or penalties. I didn't see any update from the other quarterfinal while that game was going on. We'll just make sure, and indeed it was a 0-0 draw in that second leg, so that does mean at the start of next week it is Volsungur versus PSG in the Champions League semi-finals that will be happening alongside Manchester United versus Arsenal. But we are through to the final four yet again off the back of that 1-0 win in the second leg there from the Laugardarsvoller. And back in the inbox off the back of that rather scrappy win across both legs. As I said, not too many highlights, I don't think, across both legs of that one, but we just did enough there to get the job done and yet again pick up a win against Bayern in the quarterfinals of the Champions League. We pick up a nice 9 million and a little bit extra for that win, and that does mean that I think for the first time in the save so far, we do take on PSG in the Champions League, and it will be in the semi-finals in 2034. The first leg is yet again going to be played away from home. That could be quite important because so far we've done a little bit better in those home legs, and that might give us a little bit of a boost if we can keep it close like we have done over the last few episodes going into the second leg of that semi-final. But a quick look at what PSG do look like, because as I said, I don't think we've played these guys before so far in the save, still managed by Maurizio Pochettino. It's a team which looks decent. They've got the likes of Declan Rice, Alex Moliba, Hakimi. They've got Nuno Mendes, and they've also got Vlahovic and Ødegaard up front. But like a lot of the teams that we are facing in this Champions League at this stage of the save, it does look like a team filled up of players who are quite old. They also do have Donnarumma in goal, but hopefully We just have a little bit more youth amongst us here at Volsungur at this stage of the save, and we can make that count against the team which have already wrapped up League A and done so extremely comfortably. They are 27 points clear on top of League A, and they do still have 7 games left in the season, so they are absolutely bossing League A at the moment, and that means that all their focus can be turned to that Champions League semi-finals. That is going to be a big test for us. We are running a tough gauntlet this season in the Champions League on our way to the latter stages, but if we can make that final, hopefully we can beat one of Arsenal or Man United like we did on our way to the Club World Cup last year. But that will do it for the gameplay part of today's episode. Before we do wrap things up, as you can see there, PSG also scouting Lassana Doumbia. No chance in heck I let that happen if I have any say over that. He is worth a heck of a lot more than 17.25 million, I think it is fair to say, is Lassana Doumbia. Hopefully PSG don't get too interested off the back of the semi-final, which we do play at the start of next week. But I thought this might be a good time with just the one game in today's episode to sort of explain some things I might do when we do eventually get knocked out of Europe, or hopefully win the Champions League at the end of the season in terms of the transfer window and moving some parts around here in this Volsungur team. We'll start by having a look at the tactic and the players that we do currently have in our first 11. Will Lervik, as you just saw at the start of today's episode, we are looking to replace him, albeit it would be quite nice if we can keep him around as a backup goalkeeper. So that probably means we're going to start to look to sell someone like Declan Spencer and or Jimmy Cools, just to make sure we do only have 3 goalkeepers at the club, albeit Declan Spencer probably the pick of the goalkeepers to sell. He made a great penalty save for us to win the League Cup prior to the start of that first leg in the quarterfinal of the Champions League yesterday, but he does only have 2-star current ability and potential, so it's probably time we look to let Declan Spencer go in goal, or as I said, Jimmy Cools. We can probably get a youth prospect up to that same level as those two. But apart from that, in terms of the first 11, I think the players who are also on the decline, as well as Will Lervik, even though he's now just bumped up a little bit to a 3-star current rating, is Kenny Boreal. He's just regressing a little bit in terms of his star rating. Still a quite good left back, and as you saw in that last game, can also play right back as well. So that is one feather that is in his cap. But we do have some really promising talents at left back. I want to get Louis Herrera into this first team for the next European season, as well as a backup for Premsil Bokic, and that might mean that Kenny Boreal is a player that, if some good bids come in for him, we do look to sell to try and give that young talent who were on that next gen list yesterday a chance to really grow here in this first team. At Volsungur, also Radenko Krolo at right back could be a player who comes back from his loan at Lille and does replace Levan Tam, albeit we're a little bit weaker at right back in terms of having as many promising prospects in that position, so we might keep one of Levan Tam or Kenny Boreal just to play backup to Radenko Krolo come next season. But we do also have Ian Carlo at the club, and he fills one of those all-important homegrown club and nation spots. So both of our starting wing-backs are players who, if good bids do come in for them, I might consider selling come the end of this current European season. The midfield, in terms of the starting 11, looks pretty good as well. Quite happy with how that does look. We maybe could use a young, promising midfielder in behind those guys to come through, albeit we do have the likes of Alain Basicki, who has not been able to be registered for this year's competition, waiting in the wings for next year. In terms of the attack, quite happy with how Zimmerman is going at right wing, and Adam Saki looks like a very good pickup for us at striker, but that does leave Chaka Traore, who is just regressing a little bit in terms of his ability and potential, only on 2.5 stars now. Also takes up one of those all-important foreign spots in the domestic competition, so it might be time for us to also try and let go of someone like Chaka Traore. We have a few options to replace him there. Joe Nata has been doing a good job for us on the left wing for our backup team, albeit these days he only has 3-star potential as well, but at least he is not EU. We do, of course, have that player, Tomohiro Horikawa, who is on loan at Cologne. He's 3-star current ability, 4-star potential. He could come straight in for Chaka Traore, but again, he is a foreign player. So maybe if we sell some players like those ones in the first team that we did mention before, maybe Chaka Traore as well, alongside the likes of Gaetano Prisco, seeing as he's gone down to that 2-star current ability, and we already have centre backs at the club who are younger, more potential on that same current ability rating, most notably someone like Filip Jakubov. He's a player who was on loan at HK last season. He could be a player who gets a little bit more game time coming into the new European season. But Gaetano Prisco, another player who we might look at letting go of alongside someone like Abdullahi Core Racing, as he's a foreigner and doesn't have quite as much potential for a centre back as we were hoping. So if we sell some players like that, maybe we'll have enough money to buy a decent European left winger as well to replace Chaka Traore. But that's so far what I'm kind of looking at going into the next European season in terms of transfers. There could be a bit of shuffling going on for the squad here at Volsungur. Also, Hercules Delfino might be another player on the chopping block. He's been very good for us so far domestically this season, but we have a very good striker waiting in the wings to become a backup in the Rek Voskanian there with that 5-star potential. So there's a lot of players there who we could potentially sell, and we might use that money to hopefully invest in a good European left winger to replace Chaka Traore. And from there, I think we'll have a decent squad looking forward to the next few seasons of this save. But that will do it for today's episode. That narrow win there against Bayern Munich in the second leg of that Champions League quarterfinal, meaning we are taking on PSG in the semis at the start of next week. If you did enjoy today's episode, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying the series here on the channel, also remember to hit that subscribe button and turn that notification bell on as well. And until next week for the semi-final against PSG, thank you very much for watching. Keep on keeping on, and I'll see you then. Cheers.